Welcome to a special edition of Illegal Curve Hockey. We're chatting with relatively newly signed, CJ Suess, a new slash old face to many who pay attention to the Winnipeg Jets slash Manitoba Moose organization. CJ, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing very well. Summer is in full bloom in Winnipeg, although we're having a little bit of a cooler time. But how are things going for you in Minnesota?
They're going good. Just getting back into training and skating and just kind of enjoying the summer while it lasts.
Yeah, before you know it, it's already time for the Beauty League. We're seeing that's advertising. You were just saying before we got going, you're going to be joining that in part. Do you know which team you're on? Are there any Jets or Moose guys on that team?
I do not know which team I'm on yet, so I think I'll find that out within the next couple days here.
But and I know you've participated in that before. And before we get focused on your last year, like maybe just take us through what it's like to participate in that. Because I was listening to an interview Nate Schmidt was doing yesterday with the Rink Live, and he was just talking about the impact he has on the St. Cloud community. You're a Minnesota guy. What does it mean to have that sort of impact with the kids who come to watch you at the Beauty League?
It's awesome. It's all about the kids for this kind of situation in the league. All those kids get a smile on their face when they see us coming in and out of the rink, and it's honestly fun to play in front of them. It makes their day, their night, and their summer sometimes when kids of that age can come and see professional hockey players play in their backyard. So it's definitely a cool experience playing in that, and it's good to see fellow players you don't really see throughout because everyone's all over the state. So it's a good time to come together and kind of have fun while playing hockey.
Yeah, for sure. And we got to talk about your year away from Manitoba. You can't get away. Every time you think you're gone, we drag you back in. But you did leave for 1 year. You signed a 1-year deal with the San Jose Sharks organization. So maybe how did that come about for you, and what was it like being part of a new organization?
It was kind of between a few teams, so I just thought that would be the best fit for me for last year. And it ended up turning out really well. I think I played some good hockey there. And it was nice to kind of see a change and see what something else is like and kind of do what's right for my career at the time and kind of see what was out there. And I mean, the weather, you really can't beat that either. It was nice down there. But, it's definitely a different feel. It's definitely a differently run organization. And it's kind of cool to see how different ones are run and how they work.
What's it like? I mean, I think you were 28 when you signed that deal. So what's it like to kind of have to restart? You'd been 4 years in the Jets Moose organization, so you're kind of starting from scratch. Did you know anybody going into the Sharks organization already? And again, what was that like for you to have to kind of first day of school sort of mentality?
I've always felt like I've been pretty good at changing, kind of meeting new people and getting along and kind of working my way into new environments. Luckily, I had Luke Johnson there. He signed there as well, so that was a familiar face going in. And Luke Kunin was there, so that was nice to know him from before a little bit. So, it wasn't too hard of a change. Everyone was welcoming, and it was a good environment to walk into, really. And so in that case, I think it was honestly kind of an easier transition than I thought it would be.
And speaking of transition, they often say the style of play could be a little different. Here in the AHL, of course, you don't really necessarily see a lot of we don't see the North teams unless they're the Canadian teams. You don't see the Pacific teams unless, again, they're the Canadian teams. It's changed. Obviously, you were here before when you would play those teams, but now, of course, it's a little different. So what was it like for you kind of adapting to that style? Did you notice a big difference in style between the Central and the Pacific?
Honestly, it wasn't that too big of a change. I feel like in the AHL, everyone always plays hard and is always fighting for those opportunities. So maybe a different kind of pace and kind of not really pace, but I wouldn't say skill different, but just the way the game's played a little bit. Kind of less physical, I'd say a little bit. But other than that, I'd say it was pretty similar in that sense.
What was it like checking out those Coachella Valley Firebirds? Sorry.
Well, it was awesome going on those road trips. I'll tell you that. It was kind of a cool experience getting to see all the West Coast up and down. But yeah, they were good. We always battled them pretty well. I think we had, 3 or 4 good games that we played against them were either 1-goal games or we lost in overtime. So we always battled them well, and we matched up well against them. So it was fun.
Well, during your year away, you hit a couple of AHL milestones. You played your 200th AHL game. Where does the time go? It seems like, it was just yesterday you were being drafted, I believe, in Philadelphia, and now you got your 100th AHL point. So, what did it mean to you to hit those milestones? Obviously, the Moose, formed a big part of that, but hitting them this year with the Barracuda.
It's awesome. It's a milestone in my career that I'm definitely proud of. It's one of those that you don't really see coming until it hits you, and after you're kind of grateful for the time that you do have playing professional hockey and the time that you've kind of spent with teammates and the organizations throughout, and you kind of realize that it doesn't stay forever, and that you got to kind of enjoy those moments, and that's what I did.
Well, speaking of enjoying moments, you're going to be enjoying a couple more years here in Manitoba. As I alluded to, you're back in the fold, a member of the Manitoba Moose for 2 more seasons. So I guess, how did the deal come about for you, and what was the process like?
It was pretty good. I feel like they were pretty interested right away, and I was willing to jump on it. I obviously wanted to see what was out there for NHL deals, but this was kind of my first kind of pick of the litter after that kind of went about.
And are you involved in the process? I guess, take us behind the scenes. What is it like for a player? You become a free agent. You have opportunity in front of you, as you just said. Do a number of teams reach out to your agent? Then your agent, you have a conversation. What is that process like for those of us not in the know?
Yeah, pretty much the agent does a lot of the grunt work. He's out there talking to teams and kind of management and organizations, and he kind of brings the best ones back to me, what he thinks are the best fits, and I kind of make a decision off of there.
And settling on a 2-year term, how did that come about? Was that your end or that end, or kind of just a mutual thing there?
I think it was a mutual thing. I realized that this is an organization that knows me and I know them pretty well, and it's definitely a good fit. So I thought in a second year would be great.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to ask you about next, was that idea of coming back to this organization. It's where you've spent the majority of your pro career. Obviously, like I said, the Jets are the team that drafted you. You wore an A for the Moose, so you have a lot of relationships you've built. So what does it mean for you professionally to be able to come back here to Winnipeg?
It means a lot, and especially it means that they enjoyed the person I was too, and as well as the player I was. To kind of come back and give me this opportunity on a 2-year deal. So it's kind of cool to kind of be back and see all these familiar faces and come back to a place where I'm comfortable at. And I look forward to kind of getting the wheels back on and seeing everyone again.
Well, and what is that like? Do you maintain those relationships throughout the year? Is it kind of, are you still part of the group chat? Do they boot you from the group chat? How does that work, CJ? Take us behind the scenes. How does the group chat work when you're no longer a member of the organization?
You still keep in touch, but outside the group chat. I think there's a new one that starts every year. So you kind of stay close to certain people and certain teammates, and you definitely never really lose all those connections. You always stay close to those who are your closest with while you're playing on that team. And I think it's pretty easy to stay in touch with if you want to with social media and everything now.
Well, and one of the things with this Moose group, at least, is that there seems to be a lot of continuity. And I mean, sure, they're going to be losing some players like they do every year, but there are going to be a lot of familiar faces that you played with because it was only a year ago. It's not like you're coming back 3-4 years later and it's a whole new group. Most of these guys, and again, maybe some of the young Jets prospects you might not be super familiar with, but for the most part, you're going to be very familiar with both the guys and also, of course, the coaches.
Exactly, and a lot of the core group I was really close with. So seeing Jimmy, Jeff, Jonesy, and a lot of those guys is going to be fun.
And so, if you're reflecting back on those 4 years that you spent in Winnipeg as part of the Jets/Moose organization, what are your kind of best memories of your time here in Winnipeg?
I think most of them are off the ice, to be completely honest. I think just like going out, hanging out, and kind of just seeing everyone outside the rink, going to the rec room with teammates, and, just kind of building those relationships off the ice. And you can't beat playoff runs and making it into playoffs and being a part of a winning team. So I think that's kind of the biggest part that I miss is kind of a full team fighting for each other to win and kind of make a run. And that's why we play the game. And winning's always more fun. No matter how good you're doing, if the team's winning, it's always more fun. And that's, for the most part, we were able to kind of make it into playoffs. We weren't able to do much that last year, but I think just getting in and having that push to go the extra mile and to win something together is awesome.
And and a lot of people kind of lose focus. They think of the AHL, it's only about development. It's not necessarily about winning, but that is a big factor. I mean, guys play the game hard, and look, this Moose team, especially during COVID, when you guys couldn't play for anything to, really, because you knew it was just to play to get games in. You guys still gave it your all, but that must have been, of course, hard on the psyche. Whereas now you're playing for something, and again, that impetus to win a championship. It may not be the Stanley Cup, to win a Calder Cup is still an important thing for players. And I think sometimes people lose focus on that.
Yeah, exactly. And in the end, winning and going far in playoffs really helps the individual as well. But it's the process, I think, that people forget about, and kind of the journey it takes to get to those places that really builds the character and gets you in it for the long run for your career.
So what are the summer plans?
Well, got a lot of housework to do. Do that, kind of get in the gym and keep trucking along that way, and get on the ice and kind of prepare for this next year and head back in September.
Now, is it as easy as picking up the phone and saying, I want my old place back, or do you have to start looking anew and becoming a Winnipegger all over again?
It's kind of just deciding where I want to stay this time around. I think my first 4 years there, I was in a different spot every time. So I think we want to find a spot that we can be for 2 years, and whether that's buying a house or renting. So we're still deciding on that end. So I don't know. We'll try to find a good one.
And again, as I'm not going to call you old by any measure, but of course, as you approach that point where you're wanting to set down roots, not necessarily in Winnipeg, but even close to your home state of Minnesota, is there something to be said for being able to have that permanence and knowing, like, okay, we can actually have, we're close. I know you're obviously you have family that's very close together, so you have that opportunity to be, in a place like Winnipeg, but you can be close to Minnesota if you need to.
Right. And it's nice playing in the Central Division as well, where I can go down to Iowa, and we have family and friends coming to watch games too. So that's big for the family part of it. And yeah, it's nice being close to home, and kind of being in a place where it feels like home and it's similar to it.
Now, are there any spots in Winnipeg that you're looking forward to re-engaging and getting back into? I mean, whether it's a restaurant or whether it's a place you like to go, a pub, that sort of thing. Was there anything that you're thinking, okay, well, I missed that place and I'm excited to check it out again?
Leopold's a little bit, and then nothing, or Generate Cakes. I miss those, and me and my fiance used to go grab those as snacks every now and then. So that's a big place that we miss.
All right. Well, those two places are going to have to hook you up after you gave them a nice little free promo here, CJ. So we'll have to see if we can get you some Generate Cakes and Leopold's. Well, that's a good little spot. Well, there's a lot of them, but it's a good little spot. And then again, away from the rink, what is up for you? Do you golf in the summer? Do you fish? What kind of things do you like to do when you're not training?
Golfing for sure. Like golfing as much as I can. Got a membership up here at Forest Lake, so it's something I definitely love doing outside the rink, and I was able to do it quite a bit last year, being in that warm weather. But yeah, that's kind of my passion outside of hockey, and I enjoy it.
Now, more importantly, and we're going to wrap it up soon, but are you prepared for a Winnipeg winter again? Because I mean, you've been away, you've been in that sunny California weather. So how are you ready for to get back to your Minnesota roots?
I don't think it'll be a problem. I think that's just one short year away from the cold in my entire life. So I went through Sioux Falls, Mankato for 4 years. So I think it'll take maybe a month or two, and then I'll be back into it.
Okay. Well, anyway, CJ, I appreciate you joining us today, and I'm sure the Manitoba Moose and Winnipeg Jets fans will be excited to see you back in Manitoba, applying your trade for the next couple of years for the Manitoba Moose.
Awesome. I look forward to it.
Okay. Thanks, CJ.
Thanks, Dave.
Thanks for listening to this broadcast from Illegal Curve Hockey. For more great Illegal Curve content, subscribe to the Illegal Curve YouTube channel, follow @Illegal Curve on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and visit your online home for hockey in Winnipeg, illegalcurve.com.